Hello everyone, this is Tchi Mbouani here, the founder of Chimmer. So this is a new video to talk about whether to choose long-term projections or short-term goals. I think that if you are like most people, you sometimes hesitate between whether you should focus on long-term goals or focus on short-term milestones to achieve. So I thought it'd be great to some kind of discuss the choice between the two, discuss the advantages and the drawbacks of each options, so that you can kind of make a decision as to what is best for you in terms of projecting yourself and achieving your goals, whether in the short term or in the long term. So I'd like to start with a little anecdote. So in my family, since the start of the pandemic, we have decided to create some kind of a program. We call it a TV program that is called à table in French, which is on the table. And it's a program where we celebrate the birthday of a person. And so on the day of his birthday, we organize a night where everyone in the family submits questions to the person that they have to answer. So we grill them with plenty of questions that can be quite personal sometimes. And during the whole night, so he's asked to answer them so that we get the chance to know them better. So, and then once the questions are over, we open the floor for debate. We call it the dance floor, and then so yeah, it's an initiative that we have really embraced and that everyone enjoys because it's a real a chance for us to know each other and bond even better as a family. And so, one question that comes up on a regular basis is, how do you see yourself in 10 years? And I have always found it funny to see how different members of my family answer this question of how do you see yourself in 10 years? And so that's what triggered me in having a video made on, the prospect of long-term goals and how we feel about having long-term goals. So there have been various reactions or degrees of comfort with this question, depending on the birthday person celebrated. And some are very comfortable with the question, and they can answer you very clearly about how they see themselves in 10 years. They probably feel that it's important for them to project themselves that far away in order for them to actually achieve what they want to achieve in their life. Some others, I think, not I think, some others are very not comfortable with the question. They don't want to project themselves so far away. They are not at ease at all with answering such a question. It feels like when you listen to them or when you look at them, you feel that it feels like a daunting question for them. They don't want to project themselves so far away. They probably feel that there are far too many possibilities in the world, and they don't necessarily want to restrict themselves to only a handful of them, when over a decade there will be so many opportunities for them to express themselves as an individual in many different directions. So that's I found it really funny to see that spectrum of responses to the question, and so that's why I thought, okay, let's see, what are the pros and cons of each. What are the pros and cons of long-term projections and the pros and cons of short-term goals. So if we look at the benefits first, and let's start with the long-term projections. If we look at the advantages of projecting yourself, personally, I feel that it enables you to create and imagine a vision for yourself. I think that when you try to think about who you are or who you want to be in 10 or 20 years, it is an opportunity for you to be inspired by your potential. It is an opportunity to also go back to who you are and and project yourself as who you are as and as the individual that you want to be and to express to the world over a long period of time or at some point in the future. And I think it's important to be able to take that time to reflect on who we are and who we want to be. So, so I think these are the main advantages. It also allows you to have some kind of a trajectory to follow in terms of, you know, the directions of your goals, the directions of your milestones, of the milestones in your life. So, so these are the benefits that I see to that. However, I also think that there are some drawbacks, because if you are too immersed in a future image of you, I think you can forget to enjoy who you are today. I think you can forget to enjoy the present moment, and you can basically forget who you are today, what you have today, and the impact that you have on others and on yourself today, which has to be very tangible and very grand, because as an individual we always have a very valuable impact on our day-to-day life and on the lives of others. So I think we shouldn't think too much about the future ourselves, and to the point that we forget to enjoy who we are today, what we have achieved so far, and what we have, be grateful about what we have today. Another thing that I think about when I think of the drawbacks of, you know, long-term projections, is this quote from Woody Allen: "If you want to make God laugh, tell him about your plans." And I really like this quote. It's something that I've always kind of remembered as a quote when it comes to, you know, trying to achieve something, maybe a change of career, or maybe having a goal of traveling to many countries, or building a family, or building maybe some kind of a range of assets in property. You can have many goals that you have in life, but sometimes simply God has another plan for you, and you don't manage to achieve everything that you had imagined, you know, a few years before, simply because the trajectory for you in order to express who you really are in this life wasn't the one that you imagined. So yeah, be careful of those long-term goals, you know, that are very far away in the future, because they can sometimes be not really in sync with what we are really meant to be and to become in this particular life. And obviously, there's also the pressure that comes with, you know, I mean, setting such long-term objectives. They can become very daunting, and you want to avoid setting something that you have no clear way, or you can see no clear path as to how it's actually going to happen. And if you you know, are tempted to set such big goals, be careful of not falling in a trap of have no clarity whatsoever as to how you are going to achieve that. Yeah, so be careful of that. I think most of us are actually have already fall into those traps where we want to, I don't know, change a career, but we have no idea whatsoever how to do that. Yeah, we don't know what are even the first steps to kind of start that changeover. And so we have this goal, but it quickly feels very unhelpful and we feel a little bit discouraged because we just don't know how to do it. So be careful of this. So these are in terms of the, I think, the advantages and the disadvantages of long-term projections. If we look at short-term goals now, and what are the advantages of having short-term goals? I think so one main advantage is the fact that you create bite-sized chunks of objectives that are achievable. So you have a clearer understanding of how to get from point A to point B when you set short-term goals. And that has a tremendous impact on your confidence, and on the faith that you have in yourself that you can achieve something. It also gives you an opportunity to regularly check your progress. So at the end of a goal that has been set as a short-term goal, you can take stock of that particular progress and assess that progress, and maybe change the direction, or change the process, change the approach to a better one, towards that long-term goal that you have maybe set as a desire. So that the opportunity to really check your progress is a very, very big one. The opportunity to celebrate as well your achievement, on more occasions, so more often, I think is tremendously important. Again, in order to reinforce on a regular basis the confidence in yourself and the faith in yourself that you can achieve that long-term goal. So having short-term goals is really one of the key tip to apply in order to, I think, achieve long-term goals. That's my view anyway. But there are also drawbacks in setting short-term goals, I think, and really depends on whether they are integrated into a long-term process. If they are not, and you have many short-term goals that are unrelated, that you achieve but that are unrelated, if you have a long-term ambition that is kind of, that want to express itself, and we all have those, you can end up, let's say after a year of achieving, short-term goals in an unrelated way, in an unstructured way, unintegrated way, you can end up feeling like you haven't actually achieved much, you haven't actually made progress, and that can, you can feel some kind of disappointment in yourself, because after a year you're not necessarily closer to that long-term vision that you probably have in yourself, that you may not have expressed consciously, but that we all have. So be careful of having goals and achieving them, but not necessarily having them integrated into a long-term trajectory. So these are the main things that I can say about short-term goals. What I know is that most life coaches, when they ask you to when they are supporting you in and helping you in your personal development and in your growth, they will ask you to project yourself in 5 or 10 years, and most of them will spend quite some time understanding how you see yourself in that time frame, in that long time frame, and then they will ask you to actually have a plan that breaks down, the steps that you need to achieve in order to realize that long-term vision. So most life coaches are going to embrace both approaches of having a long-term vision, a long-term projection, but also having short-term goals. And I think I personally agree with that approach. I think that usually you need to have a mix of both approaches, and And I believe that the way you can best apply this, especially if you are not comfortable with having, 10 years goals, 20 years goals, even 5 years goals. Some are not comfortable with having those. Um, I would say that you can just have an image of yourself that doesn't need to be very specific. You can stay very, very general or generalist about the way you think about yourself in that long time frame, so that you don't feel like you are restricting yourself. But when you have that image, set your intention. Write it down maybe if you want, and so that it is actually expressed. It's not inside you. That vision is real for you. And then it's only then that you start the step of setting those short-term goals that correspond to that image that you have of yourself, of that grown self in 5, 10, or 20 years. And not all the steps, but maybe just the 5 initial steps, those that are filling maybe the next 3 months only. I think if you do that, you are on a really, really good track to achieve that vision, or at least to remain very, very aligned with your inner happiness on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. But I think it's so you do have some kind of a mix of both. You have that image, that vision of the long-term self, that grown individual. It is not specific, so that you don't constrain yourself, so that you don't put conditions on yourself, but you balance that with short-term goals, the first few ones that are filling the next 12 weeks and that you can see as achievable within the next 12 weeks, which is more, you can better see them and view them, because they are in a short-term future. So this is my personal advice when it comes to juggling between long-term projections and short-term goals. So this is what I wanted to share today, and I hope that was helpful for you, whether you will lean on one approach or towards another. I hope that you can feel comfortable with, a little bit more comfortable with each approaches, and that maybe you can take some ingredient of one approach and use it and complement the other approach that you are already taking when it comes to setting your goals and achieving your desires. So yeah, thank you for listening to me. Thank you for watching the video. And as usual, well, I hope you are taking care of yourself, and I hope to see you very soon. Take care. Bye bye.